Hello everyone, Raindell here with a War of the Vision video. Today we'll be talking about the Black Rose of the Battlefield Vision card, which is one of the most highly sought after Vision cards ever since it was released in Japan. Mainly because it gives agility, which is considered one of the best stats in the game by far. We'll be taking a look at what you actually gain in terms of agility and other stats, then the vision ability, and then just generally how good is the card. So let's begin with what everybody really wants to know about, the agility. Now this card gives 15% agility. It's the same amount as the House of Beowulf card that's already available, although time limited, so not everyone has it maxed. What does 15% agility mean? Well, it's always 15% of the unit's base stats. So depending on the unit, you're looking at somewhere between 10 points of agility and 6 for the slower MR units. I brought a couple of them on screen, so typically if you're running a unit that's really fast from the get-go, some of our fastest units are the Gunners, for example, so Frederica and Nivlu would gain 10 points of agility from this card. Units that are very fast but not the fastest, such as Ayaka and Halloween Little Leela, gain 9 points, and then the average unit is going to gain 8. That we're looking at Sakura right now. Slower side units, such as Eileen, are going to gain 7. I also tested with Neisha, for example, who's going to get 6. So it's almost as much as a high-end piece of gear that gives agility. To give you some comparison factors, Espers give an amount of agility that ranges between 10 and 19, depending on the Esper. So 15% is really good. But by itself, if you just look at the base stat, 15% means you'll get 1 extra turn every 7 turns. So it's not extremely impactful by itself. What I mean by that is there are 2 main scenarios where agility is considered, in my opinion, to be really good. And these scenarios are all for PvP. You don't really need extra agility in PvE for any content so far, so this is more of a PvP card in my opinion. Now, when do you want extra agility on your team? Well, the first scenario is if it's a really short map and you can get to hit the enemy team immediately from the first turn. And then having a high agility card allows all of your team to hit the enemies before they act, killing 1 or 2 or maybe their entire team before they even get a turn. If you have tried our current live PvP map, not the class match one, but the regular one, it's a really short map and the starter positions allow units to just hit the other guys straight up. So in this map, if the enemy is unprepared, you're going to kill them before they get a chance to act, and then agility is really good. The other scenario where you want a high amount of agility is if you start stacking every possible source of agility to get an insanely high number. So you're using a vision card like this one, you're using every support ability that gives agility that you can have, you're using agility pieces of gear, and then high-speed espers such as Auden and Siren. You can actually ramp up to have a very high amount of agility on your units, then potentially haste them, and now with all of that stacked, you will actually get 2 turns possibly for every turn the enemy gets. But if this card is your only source of extra agility, it will not have much of an impact in terms of extra turns. It will mostly be about having your first turn be before the enemy's first turn and then always being 1 turn ahead on tempo. So this is about the agility. Now let's look at the card's base stats. So here we have them. I brought it up compared to the other 2 cards that have a really high amount of magic because Black Rose of the Battlefield is a card that provides a very high amount of innate magic. That's its main advantage in terms of stat. It provides a fair amount of HP compared to Trousseau and then Blossoms in the Night. It does provide more HP than those cards, a little bit less magic, but to be honest, the difference between 184 and 190 is not very important. And then I like Force Spirit. I think it's going to be making your mage a little bit tougher, making them possibly survive another hit, but honestly, you're using a high faith unit, you don't want to tank magic attacks. It's going to hurt you for a lot no matter what. So yes, Force Spirit is nice, but I don't believe it's game changing on this card. So when we look at the base stats here, it's a good card. But is it out of this world? Is it something you can't get anywhere else? no, the stats are not the reason to go for this card. It's mainly the agility, and as we're going to talk about right now, the vision ability, Shadow Flare. So, here we are. If you are a staff user, you gain a bit of extra stats, and then one really nice ability from this card as well. In terms of stats, what you gain is 10 points of accuracy. I believe you've probably all tried accuracy gear and noticed that it makes a difference, but it doesn't make or break the game. And then agility gear can easily provide 20 up to 40 points of accuracy if you're running an Alexandrite ring. So if you want to build your team for accuracy, 10 points, it won't be the thing you really need to hit evasion units. It's a nice thing to have, but you need more than that in order to reliably hit evadey characters. So I don't think the accuracy is very impactful. Shadow Flare, however, the vision ability, I think is great. It has a low damage modifier. 121% is the same as Blizzard if we're talking mages, so it's the same as their basic damage ability, not the highest damage ones, but it does have 3 really nice advantages. The first one is this ability has no cast time. So if you're running this on a mage that has only abilities that are delayed sources of damage, you can actually get a hit off and surprise your enemy by hitting them when they're expecting to have a cast time and have a delay to react. This will mainly be useful in manual PvP. I don't believe the AI will use a 35 AP move to finish off the enemy when it can use something like Blizzard that costs a lot less AP. But it is something to keep in mind. You can use it for immediate damage on characters that don't have many sources of immediate damage. So really good pro for this thing. Then it says on wotv.calc that it knocks backs, but what this actually does is it brings the target characters closer to the middle of the effect. So it sort of groups them in a short area. And then it also decreases their area resistance, increasing any kind of AoE damage they take for a couple turns. So you can use this to land other AoEs on top of them, do more damage, and then use smaller AoEs to actually hit all the enemies because you grouped them very quickly. So I can see it having a couple really nice uses if you plan your agility accordingly and just hit the enemy with subsequent attacks before they get a turn. I can see it see some very interesting play and be a good effect, actually. Obviously, I haven't had the chance to try it, but in theory, looking at the stats, it's actually a very good ability to have. So, this is another advantage of staff users having this card in their toolkit. So, now we look at the stats. In general, I would say this is a pretty good card. I think it has a lot of value, especially if you're going to play it in manual PvP. I think in auto PvP, having a bit of extra agility is good, but it won't have as much of an impact as in manual play, where you really want to be the first because it allows you to start enabling your game plan before the other guys. But there is one thing to keep in mind if you're comparing this card to Sign of House Beowulf, the other 15% agility card. This card here has a vision ability, and generally cards with a vision ability have a cost of 80, and it is the case for Black Rose of the Battlefield. And Sign of House Beowulf has a cost of 70. So if you want to plan around using this card in class match, you have to keep in mind that it's going to cost 80 out of your team. So if we're running low cost maps, such as the previous one with 500 cost, it can limit what other things you bring into the battle if you actually want to bring this card. So keep in mind, you do have to be wary of the very high cost of the card if you want to use it. So that's all I had for you guys today. I try to keep this fairly short. Thank you very much for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts on the video. I'm still learning the format a little bit, so let me know what I could do to improve. And then if you want to see more in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.